Hi everybody, welcome to Materia D&D, where we play D&D our way, and we are on session 198. We are just a few away from 200. We are picking up our story after Roque and the Crass Menagerie. Um, Seemingly, most likely definitively, have handled the internal threat and struggle within Roque that was his original, I guess for the right now, we'll call him persona, original self of Rocket Galus, the Grand Mage, apprentice to the Black Wizard, Zygmunt Galus. But all that being said, the once defeated, overambitious wizard who managed to sustain but a mote of his consciousness and personality within one of his various and many clones, vessels, as they were known, that were scattered around the world, most of which, or all but one of which, were eliminated, disposed of. But this one turtle was given a chance thanks to Rocket's bestie, who, in an attempt to bargain with the god of knowledge, uh, convinced an entity beyond scope that perhaps it would be interesting and something to study and something to gain more knowledge from, to see how a entity such as rock could exist and grow, and if they ever were to develop tendencies like their former self, Rocket, that Caden would be there to subdue and uh, stop any threats. Luckily, that never ever happened. So, but with the air of Rocket's gloom removed, with Rock being fully in control and his happy place truly being set free within his inner world, um, the Mage Tower, Magnus's tower, the tower that once belonged to Rocket, is reacting and is reflecting the accomplishments, is reflecting the positive energy, the vibrancy, the excitement, the joy, and you know the lack of this dark, brooding, ominous form that was driven by ambition. However, with all this great stuff having been accomplished, the menagerie being able to defeat a grand mage together, um, it seems like with all their efforts, they have grown closer. They've uncovered new secrets about themselves, new talents and potentials. However, the most looming threat, which is the rifts into reality that are linking the material plane with the unimaginable plane of chaos, are still there. Caden, having convinced himself that he's failed you guys once or twice or how many times now before, shudders at the fact that it looks like there's still more work to be done. And with a diminished confidence, proposes that the relics that Rock has acquired, the broken engine and Telly, are likely the keys to closing the rift, as they were powerful devices sculpted and crafted using arcane means that are likely lost upon mankind, the world, mortals, by Zygmunt. Um, that the acquisition of a third one of these, as there are quite a few, apparently, might be just what's needed to use the glyphs and the sigils that they gathered previously and to properly mend the multiple tears in reality here in Green Hill. Or the ruins of Green Hill, I should say. So, with that, the Menagerie have had a great rest. Have already started having a meal within Magnus's tower. Ben still incapacitated after his ordeal with reality break within Rock's mind. Cielo standing vigilant and guard over his friend and still recovering from their own resurrection sickness. The Menagerie are essentially tasked to use what means they have at their disposal to track down another one of these relics. Use Caden's plan to hopefully finally seal the rifts. So, Menagerie, anything you wish to bring up? Anything that I forgot that you think is pertinent into the recap? Or what would you guys like to do?
Not so much for the recap, but question for the DM: what would be? So I've been sitting on my educated bullet feed of languages. Remember when I switched it to learn Celestial so that I could talk
Yeah.
to Ben? I never picked the other two because I was like, I'll figure those out. I
Mm-hmm.
figured maybe the Chaos Plane might be something, and now that I'm like learning magic from it and stuff like that, what would be
Mm-hmm.
the most? Would that be like deep speech or something,
Interesting.
or like abyssal?
Yeah, it would be more deep speech if we're gonna
Okay.
go with those.
Okay.
How many languages do you get? 3?
3. So this would be my second.
Yeah, you would start getting familiar with the
Yeah. Okay.
the chaotic scrawlings and the sounds that are made.
Okay.
Yeah, deep speech.
Okay. That was it.
Yep, yep. Yeah. So you do for your sake, because I know you're role playing the celestial. Celestial, you got now. You can speak
Got it.
celestial.
Yeah, because we've been vibing with it for a while. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all Caden mentioned was they exist. Did he? I thought he said he might be able to help us find some or.
The tower. Yeah. As far as I know, Rocket was quite interested in them, and I'm sure he kept logs and descriptions and whatever he could study of these relics from his master. I'm, I mean, look at this place. It's alive. It's vibrant. I feel like if you were to give it a chance, the tower would almost help you find what you're looking for at this point, or if not you, at least help Rock, which then in turn helps you. So.
Okay.
Nice gift.
That's Davis right now. What's up with all these books?
Yeah. Well, it's always fun to imagine. It's not just books, right? There's so many other things here.
Magazines,
Films.
pamphlets.
Roll, brochure,
VHS tapes,
Hmm.
the legendary VSH
laser discs,
mini
Yo.
discs,
mini discs.
and a singular iPad or mini iPod or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Ooh.
So, all right. What would you guys like to do? Who would you like to interact with? You know, y'all are feeling good. This was a very comfortable sleep.
I was it Caden had mentioned possibility of a third engine. Can I
A third relic, yeah, exactly.
can I quiz him on that a little bit? He's like, so
Yeah.
hey, well, I guess first things first. Is Karis gonna make breakfast?
I mean,
Karis, how you feeling?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I suppose. Any requests?
whatever you're making last time with the, I think it had a lot of bacon on it, but that powered me through the dream realm. I need something in that vein. That was powerful.
Protein. Got it. That's some
Bacon
carbs for
quiche.
late day energy sustain.
I need book reading mind energy. It's more annoying than muscle energy. I don't recommend it.
Brain food too. So like tuna or dolphin.
Dolphins are smart. We can absorb that power. Yeah, yeah. They got dolphin here?
I mean, I haven't not found what I needed anytime I've cooked here. So I think we'll be set.
Al's not fully versed in the kitchen, so he walks up to a cabinet, opens it, it's empty, closes, claps at it, opens it, still empty. Uh, am I doing this right?
Just gotta
Dolphin.
you gotta picture it. You gotta really envision it.
Oh, it's one of those.
So as you're just going through some of the cabinets, you're nowhere near the gut pot cabinet. You're just at the wrong cabinet, and you're just like talking, opening. Karas doesn't correct you. This is
It's
this is wrong.
cool. He'll just walk up and be like, I think you're just thinking too hard. And he'll open up the gut pot cabinet and just like pull the seeds. It's just as easy as that. You have to believe in yourself.
Ah, I see. I see the fault of my ways.
You know, like it helps if you've eaten it before, just because that
Ah,
helps visualize. Try again, and he'll stand in front of the one drawer and just like stare, like
Gotcha.
I'm gonna switch it up and go, seafood. I'm gonna hope for a tentacle. A dead tentacle.
I get you. As you kind of picture it, and of course you're not blocking the actual gut pot one, you're actually helping him. You guys both kind of picture that tentacle. Maybe Al not realizing that you're assisting Karos. And as you open the cabinet, you just kind of like a tentacle just kind of slurps out, kind of just like looks like it's gonna reach out to you, then it just kind of slurps out, kind of dangles
Falls
there.
out, flips, falls on the floor, splat.
easy peasy.
And it's at least 6 feet long. Just
Huh. A feast then. Yeah, this is when I admit that I've never had dolphin before. I was hoping that would, but I've had one of these.
mm,
Good stuff. A little chewy, but you can put a lot of flavor in it.
Oh yeah. Can see what we can whip up here.
so yeah, your feast or tentacle is, or at least your main ingredient is already. And then Karos, you can, with your magic. Actually, Al, go ahead and, for the sake of it, go ahead and roll me a nature check, just to see how well it is of a edible variety of tentacle. And then Karos, if you are going to be doing as the cooking.
Secret roll.
How's it nat? Oh, it's a secret. How's a nat 20 for 24 feel for you?
Oh, nice.
Let me
It's
secret that for the future.
it's quite a perfect specimen of a oversized it's a oversized type of octopus that is known to live off of tide's end, deep within the crevices of the mighty stones underneath and like the stony networks. Very few things fuck with it, but every once in a while its own size, it kind of gets in its own way and it's not able to navigate the way that it needs to, and it might lose a limb here or there, and they from time to time float up to the surface, and it's always like a celebration when you see one.
Oh, blessed by the sea.
Yes. And it's a very good quality. It's fresh. It's like you remember kind of like one of your last times at home. One of these kind of, within like the last month or so, it washed up, and you guys had one of those feasts, and it was, many people went to it. They cut it into much more smaller portions. They covered it in like oils and citrus and like braised it for low and slow for many hours. And then they let it cool. And then once it cooled off, then they grilled it real fast to get like a charry bark on it. Delicious.
Ooh,
And
hell
yes,
yeah.
there's actually a proper way to cook it if you ever want to really make really good octopus. Braise it in oil and citrus, let it cool, and then just grill it. It's very tasty.
Having not good enough experience in cooking, Al tries to explain what he wants to Karos, and I know there's a gut pot involved, but he's like, but then you boil it, but then you want it crispy, but then you want it burnt, but then the order, um, I'm not too sure there, but I believe in you. I believe you can do it. You seem good at this.
Let's see what we can come up with here.
I love it. Carlos, if you want, you can give me an intelligence check. I would say you're proficient at it at this point because you've used the gut pata quite a few times. Yeah, so you can give me a proficient intelligence check as you're taking in the information that Al is giving you and sculpting it as best as you can with what has been provided already. I guess as the music is not playing, I forgot music.
19.
19. Solid. It gets a little confusing with it's boiled and then it's wet and then it's dried and then it's crispy and then it's wet again. That's what, but you kind of you've worked. You kind of understand. The gut pot kind of intuits your your understanding, and you've built up some kind of rapport with this magical object. So it kind of gets where you're going at. It gets it nice and tenderized for you guys eventually and flavorful. And then if you wish to pull it out at whenever you think it's ready, it's going to have this nice charred bark on the outside. It's not going to be the like as amazing as this Rozoganov, but it's going to be tasty. Definitely going to be good food.
All right. I'll put some bacon and they'll chop it up and they'll wrap the bacon around the little pieces of octopus. It's like, I don't know, I've never had bacon with octopus before, but I mean, find it hard to make it worse.
Yeah, and then Al or Karos, whoever wants to sample it first, let me know, and I need you to roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Me.
Against deliciousness.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. That was a 15 for you. It's a lot of soup.
Well, this is good. Al, the roll is just for fun. It's perfectly edible. It's good. The bacon adds this weird note to it. Kind of clashes just a little bit, but it's a nice little texture ride. You get like the crispiness of the outside of the bacon. That makes up for the lack of the proper crust on the outside of the char, just because it's a little bit difficult, and then melds fairly okay with the interior kind of soft, meaty tentacle bit. The combination of flavors is what's a little off, but hey, it's still good. It's perfectly edible. It's just, yeah, it could probably be better if they were separated out, but it's okay.
You see, with music, you've got all these harmonies and melodies and intervals, and sometimes you need that little bit of clash just to like that little dissonance, so you can get that resolution at the end. So it comes back to when you get the good flavors separate. You can kind of a little bit of this there, that there. It makes you appreciate that more. It's an art form, you know. Al has convinced himself. He doesn't realize he's lying to himself, but he's like, "This is how things are enjoyed, right? It works for music. It's got to work for food too, right?"
Yeah, I love it. That's a good little self convincing yourself almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. All right. So now as you guys are happily feasting on what is available, should you wish to take it. I don't like this music for this. I gotta find better music. But
I was
these
gonna say, Al is overanalyzing the flavor of the soup, which is warming up his overanalyzing muscles for the book later.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Overanalyzing. Everything's getting there. I like it. Uh, yeah, so with food available as well as whatever foods, there may be kind of lingering around the tower. Y'all rise. Y'all are ready to tackle the things. Trying to get some clarity from Caden. Caden grabs, a nice meaty section of the octopus that's on presentation and just digs in and says, "Okay, that's pretty good. I haven't. It might be just the fact that I haven't eaten in many, many decades, so everything tastes good. That's good. Kudos to you too. But all right, right. So I keep getting things wrong. So I don't know if you guys should necessarily trust me here. I appreciate the confidence if you do. But
Mhm.
Master Zygmunt created 8 very powerful arcane spheres. They all represent some aspect of his journey, his learning, and ways that he saw what we conceive as reality to be able to be changed or manipulated or taken advantage of. They, in a way, are kind of his. He explained it once to us that they represent forces that have been here ever since before the gods. After all, he was trying to debunk their importance. Some of these forces are pretty familiar to us. We we use them and categorize them in stories and in bestiaries and in other means and schools of magic and such. And it's they're more tangible to us. You put your hand in a fire, it burns. You touch water, it's wet. Um, you step on solid ground, the earth is, sturdy beneath your feet, and you can hear songs and the whistles in the wind. There are basic 4 elements as we come to understand them. But then there's more to it. There's forces and aspects that are a little bit more difficult for us to completely grasp, to completely yeah. We almost instinctively do not recognize that they are at play. One that is a bit more common because of some of the studying and some of the ramifications. Like everyone understands that when he holds out, a fork, and if I let go, it's going to drop downwards. Uh, so gravity or weak force or something along those lines. But anyways, these 8 supposedly have always been, and they were the true elements or the true instruments that the gods wielded, not created, to be able to do what they do. And our master used a lot of his resources and a lot of his abilities to forge such quintessences or pinnacles. I don't know what you would necessarily describe them, but manifestations of these 8 segments, these 8 forces. Rock has 2 of them. 2 of them can do a lot. I imagine what 3 can do. And I think 3 might be the magic number that we need to be able to use their abilities to work in unison and harmony to mend the rifts. Allow their expression of nature to repair nature. The only thing is I just don't know where they are.
But you think we could figure it out from stuff here?
I do. As you are clearly aware, Roquette was very ambitious and very envious of our master. I caught him at times taking notes and obsessing over these 8 orbs.
So as far as you know, he never found any.
I would venture that perhaps no, or if he did, they were scattered in some of his workshops, perhaps.
Yeah.
We have. He looks over. Rock, if you're there, what's Rock doing right now, if I may ask? If anything.
I'm just studying my book because it's different. I didn't make it different.
Yeah, I understand. It's different. Yeah, so when Caden kind of glances over towards Rock, who's just, very comfortably sitting at a chair and table, and he looks like he belongs in this place. This looks the most natural that you've seen Rock look in a long time. The chair that he's sitting in is almost like engulfing him, but in a very cozy, comfortable kind of way. Like the padding and the pillows are just like perfect. The desk and how he's sitting and reading over his book, it's like the perfect angle and the perfect height. He's not straining his neck or sitting uncomfortably. Like Rock looks completely at ease. The lighting looks ideal. And you guys pick up Telly and the broken engine. You almost don't notice them anymore because they just become such a permanent fixture, especially the broken engine. But they are just always there, rotating and orbiting in their own slow, unique patterns just around Rock, making space for any objects. And in this case, they're around Rock's head and kind of floating around the chair and then making another orbit. I mean, and then you guys look at the one that's more neglected, the one that that one that was twisted and used for something dark. And if you, this is gonna be weird, if you are proficient in Arcana, can I get an insight check?
I'm assuming Ben is still out, so he can't.
Yeah, Ben's incapacitated.
Does that include me?
If you wish to be overhearing this conversation, you are more than welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there. I'm just like, why is this all different? I didn't change this.
It's a new day. I should lucky this. I'm a lucky this.
I'm not sure if my rolls work. Oh, it
Someone
looks like
can
it
roll
worked.
for you if they need to.
No, I think it worked. 24.
24? Okay.
What's a 9 do for you? Yeah.
Alright. Are those the only 2 folks that can do it? Okay. I wasn't sure who's all in the pool there. 24. Al, it's just you aren't picking up on anything, Rock, is you're just kind of, eavesdropping in a sense, trying to figure out what's going on. You kind of feel your friends look towards you, but they're not looking at you. They're actually focusing on the orbs, the two orbs that kind of float around you. And you hear the words neglected and twisted and used for what it wasn't supposed to be used for. And at that moment, you kind of like perk your head up, kind of look, and that coiled mass of braided fibers, seemingly metallic in nature, that kind of give off that yellow thrumming pulse, that has that shell that around it that almost looks like a crystalline glass. When you first found it, it was, broken. The shell itself was kind of broken, and some of the cabling was almost like extruded out, almost like in a very gruesome way, almost like if it was like almost like a person that was disemboweled or eviscerated, right? Some of the cordage was kind of spilling out. Over time, it's had a chance to kind of re-fix itself and like to tighten up the cords and kind of keep them in a knot in its center. The crystalline glass has almost all kind of re-solidified around it. But with that insight check, Rock, you do realize that this thing has been with you for months and months and months, and it's you don't know that much about it. You've tapped into its potential a few times, but looking back, just with your natural arcana check, what the engine was being used for by Elsevier at the Necromancer's Tower just shows the scope and magnitude that these devices could have, as it was literally being used as a miles radius battery to sustain an undead army. Not its intended purpose, but things are potent. And this one in particular is still not, because of the 24 insight check, still not fully recovered, if this was a living thing.
Hello? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
I think
We're
I'm moving.
here.
So, but yeah, Caden would say, I'm confident that in these walls you will find descriptions, analysis, jealous writings, plans and machinations, probably to even acquire and steal the Zygmun's orbs.
I mean, I'm just hoping it's like, yeah, I found this one. It's over here. I'll grab it when I need it. But, you know, we can only be so lucky.
Well, I I'm I have hope that this change in atmosphere indicates that the tower will actually work with you. And he kind of looks over to Magus. No offense, Magus. Please, I'm just the tower's me, and I'm the tower, and I'm blah blah. No, the tower is its own little cranky individual in itself. It happens to be part of me. So yeah, by all means, go nuts, have fun. It feels pretty nice and vibrant in here. I mean, I gotta say, a few days ago, it was just dark, and you guys came knocking. And it was a little bit disappointing because, it was awesome. You guys gave me a name, and therefore now I know I'm Magnus, and Magnus is the best name ever. I will never drop that. You have to live with this. However, I was kind of sad to see my tower, my inner self, still be kind of down. But I kind of dig the lighting, the decor. Look at this. Even some of the plants are being green again. It kind of points to like where there's like a bench with like some succulents on it.
Oh.
and interstrewed with like some arcane like crystals and glyphs, and you're like, "See, this is good. Tower is happy. Magnus happy. Y'all happy?" Looks over to Ben. Mostly. So, I mean, have at thee. Study, research. Good luck. But yeah, he's right. There's 8. That I remember. Distinctly 8. And he's trying to remember. He's like, okay, there's Earth, which is clearly the best one. And then there's Air, which is like a close second, because like, haha, look at me. Earth and air, right? Haha, yeah.
Excellent.
There's water, which no one likes water because, ugh,
Gross.
water. Yeah,
I mean, I
Huh.
like water.
you're weird. And there's fire. Fire's nice, keeps you warm.
Yeah.
Water sucks, makes you wet. Wait, I did water already. Okay. Earth, wind, water, fire. And then there's those weird other 4 ones that are just like, oh, like almost like hoity-toity. Like, you'd have to find them. I'll try to think on them, but the other ones are easy. These ones are difficult.
So which
Mhm.
ones are? And then I'll just point towards Rock. Which ones do we already have?
Hey guys, I can't talk right now. We got alarms coming in.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
If people want to, okay, this is now you guys can kind of apply any type. If you can think of a check that would apply, I will allow you to roll because you have traveled with, especially the broken engine, for 100 and something sessions.
With
They are.
my new magic ability, can I do a Charisma Arcana? And there's no
That is,
proficiency; it would just be a Charisma check, basically.
yeah, that's fine. You would need to interact with it, so to be able to like put your personality into the object, so you can approach it
Sure.
and try to grab it as it's rotating and floating. And as you do, like as you reach out your hand, it just kind of gently like bumps into it, and then it doesn't like try to press or anything. It seemingly, in a weird way, recognizes you, and it just kind of allows you to just kind of hold it in place. Let me know.
13.
13. I mean, it's not.
I figured it
You're
out. It's
not.
gravity, guys, clearly, because it's floating. And then the other one's air, because it's being blown around. So, we got him.
Yeah,
Al's
clearly.
there with a notebook. He's like, okay, leading assumptions, gravity and
Yes.
air.
Yes. Yeah, Davis. You are confident in your assessment, but as the DM, you have no idea. You're like, hmm. And then as you like put your hand back, it just kind of continues its little rotation, little orbit around Rock. By means, if anyone else would like to try to ascertain the nature of either the engine or Telly, let me know.
Can I? I'll start with the easier one. Can I just do an Arcana check? I'm looking to see if Telly correlates if teleportation as a school of magic falls into either of the 4 like more abstract forces. It's a little chaotic. It's a little attractive. It's going from one place to another. There doesn't have to be an order to it. If Al knows anything about the school of teleportation and how it relates to those,
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, you can do that Arcana check, um, if you wish.
is brain time. Hey,
Nice.
30-20.
Oh, okay. Before we do that, real quick, Karos, because you used the gut pot cabinet. Can I get that D6 roll?
Yeah.
I got to fight the tentacle.
And I actually need to find. Oh, where is the gut pot? Oh crap.
I might have it in the compendium. Let me see. Magic items.
Because it is, yeah, it's a slightly modified table. Okay, yeah. Let me know what you roll on a 1 through 6.
A deuce.
A deuce. Okay.
It's not in there. I'll have
Gotcha.
to see if I can find it on D&D Beyond.
It's comfort. So it's an extremely comforting meal. As odd placing as it is, I was just curious to see if you got food for thought. But yeah, so each creature that consumes the food prepared benefits from 4 hours of rest. It only needs 4 hours of rest to be considered having a long rest for the next 24 hours. So yeah, I'll just remember that. You got food. You got comforting meal. So if you guys need to take a long rest for the next 24 hours, you only need 4 hours instead of the traditional 8-ish
Nice.
to achieve it.
And we full rested.
Yes, you full
Right,
rested.
yeah,
Remember,
so-
you got most of your hit dice back. You rolled really well on your
Yeah, that's right.
day of full recovery.
I don't remember rolling the Nirvana, so I just did. It's a 7.
Lucky
Alright,
number
mark that
7.
down. That's a good one to have. Nice and low. Al, what'd you roll? Dirty 20 on the Arcana?
Correct.
Okay. And you're doing telly, you said.
Yes.
Okay. I am all over the place with my notes today. I don't have it. I have it in the materia. There it is. Okay, cool. So telly is an interesting one. Telly, as you're trying to look at it and you're trying to you see it, and it's a beautiful, like dark, carved, perfect spherical, almost looks like it's a singular stone. But as you look into it, it's kind of like begins to spiral and kind of give you this illuminated light display. Actually, I believe we still have the description on it on Rock's character sheet, if I remember correctly. So I want to make sure I give you the right visual. I remember the picture very clearly in my head.
Vortex patterned agate-like sphere.
Yeah, thank you. There we go. Vortex pattern. There you go. So you kind of see the vortex, and you're right. Schools of magic that tend to displace things or move them is one way to think of it. But that's not the right way to approach these. They're not restricted to a school of magic. They
Mhm.
are beyond that scope. They are fundamental forces of nature. So as you're trying to peer into it and trying to understand it, it's not a school, I can tell you that. It's a
Mhm.
much grander representation of something. Cool?
Okay. Okay.
And I will say, with that knowledge, you are welcome to move forward and try to look at the engine if you wish.
Ooh, I like that idea. First, real quick, just with Owl's kind of background and studying circles and teleportation, I'm guessing most of that knowledge is still in that School of Magic boat, and it doesn't really add anything to this.
Repeat that one last thing, Al. You said something about School of Magic. Sorry.
Yeah, all good. Owl's done some teleportation studying in the past, just like with circles and sigils. Would most of that knowledge still fall under the School of Magic, like, line of thought, and doesn't really...
Yes, think
Okay.
grander than that.
Gotcha. Okay. Then, yeah, with that, I like to apply the same logic to Broken Engine. Looking at that guy.
You can go ahead and give me that check with advantage this time.
Ooh. $19.
19 again? Okay. With that, kind of go ahead and give me a personal history check. So give me a history check, and you can roll with charisma because that's your strongest stat. Let's see if this helps.
Yo. Oh. Charisma helped. Dirty 20.
Nice, dirty 20. Okay. The DC was actually 20, so that worked out well. So, kind of recalling the situation, the dangerous encounters and everything that you saw with the broken engine. Conceptually, you remember that it was fueling, energizing, and giving life and possibility to not just one, but two separate types of entities. It was being twisted and manipulated, and it was being tortured in a sense. If this thing was alive, it was being tortured, and it was being used to fuel the undead. It was also being twisted and used deep inside those catacombs to allow that other entity to manifest and take place and allow its influence to reign. One Nazrin Ush, if you remember him, or it. Do
Okay.
you remember Nazrin by any chance?
Of course.
You said the bottom of the Necromancer's Tower?
Yeah.
I think it was a room with a lot of jars.
It's like the corrupted form of Elsevier, right?
That is, Danny is a lot closer. Nazrin was the beholder-like entity that was brought into our existence and then eventually merged with Elsevier. So when you had to file the Eldritch Elsevier, that was Nazrin Osh possessing and taking over her. Because let's go back, because the 20 will give you a little backstory. So Elsevier did the traditional route of necromancy. Elsevier did the traditional route of lichdom. However, because elements, she decided to study what was available, and something that was available was Eldritch influences. So she was trying to use Eldritch influences to reach a form of lichdom rather than just like, the whole dark phylactery thing. So the engine was being used and twisted and manipulated and tortured to create a suitable battery source with the trolls and everything. But anyway, battery source to fuel the undead. But also, it was there to be able to sustain and to kind of keep a link with aberrations, spookiness. And that's why part of the catacombs were being consumed and changed from skull walls literally made of skulls and bones, into that fleshy substance. And that's why there were beholders, zombie beholders, eldritch horror. So with that and a 20, conceptually, life in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So the broken engine represents the concept of, the simple terms is life, but in the proper terms, electromagnetism. The attraction of everything and everything together. Not in the same way of like gravity, but if we're gonna go Dota nerd, it's Io. Hi, it's Io. It represents Io. You really want to know.
Strength carry.
Yeah. So, but anyways, but yeah, it represents. So it's literally being tortured and forced to do the opposite of what it's supposed to do. It was sustaining the undead. The undead are not life. The opposite. And then on top of that, it was being twisted and harmed, and it was bridging and creating a atmosphere, air quotes atmosphere, that was suitable for something so alien and so foreign that it should never belong here. Hint why it was basically eviscerated and gutted.
Cool. So far from its own purpose. Okay.
So yeah, when we're saying concepts like elements, think like wide, broad. There's the four simple ones which we grasp, right? The traditional four elements: air, fire, water, earth. But there's four other ones that are a lot more abstract. And I will be fun because one of the players kind of said it. Gravity, in a sense, is one of them. So that's another one. You guys don't know this, but I'll give you that little like touch on the nose. Like, hey, good call. Gravity is also one of them.
Well, one of us definitely knows it.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
Hmm.
so yes. Yeah.
Sorry,
So
we've been
Al.
posting the Menagerie channel.
Oh, nice. So Al, real quick, and this is
Mhm.
if you wish, you are able. This is you can. You are if you ever want to nerf yourself, I will always allow you to nerf yourself. You can decidedly be depressed if you wish, and it will
Yeah.
act as if you are exhausted, one level of exhaustion from just learning the poor state of the broken engine.
Oh,
I will allow that to be your choice if you wish to take it.
that sounds fun. I like that.
All right. So you have one level of exhaustion from depression.
Nice. Boop. That's
To real, I
right.
know.
-2 on all skill checks.
For us, it's -2 on all d20 rolls or
20.
Or
save
imposed saves. Yeah.
you know, or imposed ability checks, like
Right.
all that
Nice.
stuff.
Any DCs you impose, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm now sharing the pain from what I thought was an inanimate object, but no, it's much more than that. It's got feelings. It's got purpose. More purpose than I.
Well,
What do I do? Why am I here?
yeah. It's that weird bridge of, and I hate to use, but it's like one that we kind of conceptualize as people that have taken some science classes. It's not a virus, but it's kind of like the concept of a virus. Is it alive? Is it dead? Is it both at the same time? So like,
Mm.
is the broken engine and is Telly alive, inanimate, adamant? Like it's kind of that weird gray space, kind of both.
Hmm. Al probably humanizes it a little bit. He's like, he's been through. Broken Engine's been through a lot of shit. This thing's been through a lot of pain. Oh. I think I figured one out, Davis. We found this one at the Necromancer's Tower. It was feeding life. It was related to, the trolls and the
Oh yeah.
necromancy.
Friendlac, Star Speaker.
Yeah, so it was made for life, but it was abused, misused in all kinds of ways, and uh, there's 4 other forces. Life, it's electromagnetism. So we got. I'm confident in this one. I'm having trouble with Tally. I'm still thinking about the broken engine a bit. I need to sit down for a minute. I need some more soup. Can you keep Rock some company? Yeah, I'll be back. I make a small bowl of soup for the broken engine.
Cute. I appreciate that. So yeah. Yeah. Anyone else right now, or Al? Do you have anything else you wish to add? I don't want to take away from you, of course.
I like that. I'll probably spread the word a little more as I, whether Karos was with us near Rock or back towards the table. I'll let Karos know next time I pass him.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So the spheres orbit Rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, I think it's head, right?
Well,
More or less.
they go like to his head, to his staff. They tend to take like the upper
Upper.
orbits.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I'll just I'll watch them, and then I'll want to see if I could, in their orbit, can I like, not try and I'm gonna like spin one, not trying to knock it off its orbit, just to see if it like spins like while it's in orbit still.
Yeah.
Just like
So,
a little. Pew!
so as Rock is just kind of sitting all comfortable,
Yep.
like focusing on his book. Yeah, you just as it kind of passes like within reach, you just kind of grab it and like almost like oh god, like almost like a zero friction. Where you kind of spin something. It does it, but it still follows on the orbit that it's going.
Yeah.
It's just spinning really fast.
Yeah, it's like a little little shy little light show almost, kind of because of the refraction and stuff. Nice.
Yeah. But no, but it doesn't break its orbit. It just it's spinning very rapidly on that axis that you
Right.
spun it on, and it'll spin fast for a while. You'll see, maybe like over the course of like the next 15 minutes, you'll see it start slowing down. But it's just, and then eventually it just kind of goes back to where it's like maybe doing like one full orbit, like one full
Rotation,
rotation
yeah.
per orbit kind of thing, you know. So, okay. And then Caden will be like, well, I mean, that kind of explains the poor state of the engine itself. It was well,
Misused?
misused, abused, and it does tap. I think uh, they all of them to be able to use and harness what they represent, they do tap into the forces that they are birthed from or forged from, essentially. The engine in itself, the few times that you've, and I understand CJ may not be here, but it just needs to be said. The few times that you've tapped into it and tried to use it, it's pulling from you, your life, not taking, but utilizing. And that's why it needs to have a good bond and a strong relationship with its wielder. Otherwise, it will fail or pull too much from the user and potentially harm them. And I can't imagine how difficult it would be to properly use, and unfortunately, it's seemingly still broken state. And that's the DM hinting at the still broken table on the broken engine. So, yeah, for the DM, just for fun, the concept of the engine is that it allows you to use meta magic, but it pulls from you to be able to do it. So that's why it's associated with the life table, or the life, electromagnetism and life, because you need to use a part of yourself to fuel it, and it can backfire on you. So that's why it's life. And that's why it was being used as an undead battery. So, yes, there are supposedly, Caden will continue. Yeah, there are 6 more of them. If we would be lucky, there would be one somewhere in here just laying about that Rocket stole and forgot about. But I don't think we would be that fortunate. It makes sense now that I think about it that we found, or I say we, that you found
I mean, you were with us.
in some form, yes. But it makes sense that you found it over in Elsewier's broken tower.
Oof, that place was. Ugh.
Well, so his ambitions, Rockets, led him to find like-minded or similar-minded, wouldn't necessarily call them allies, but individuals that he could take advantage of, or at least use as research partners, or keep at an arm's length, but still be aware. And it appears that either he did successfully find some, if not all of these, and scatter them about. The engine may be one of these, and he left it with Elseweir that she could perform studies and researches for herself, but not knowing that it was actually for the benefit of Rocket himself. Because they did seem to have similar goals in cheating death, prolonging their existence. I have a feeling, as you potentially continue and venture deeper into this tangled mess, that my friend has left behind for us all, we may find more such acquaintances and more such allies that he may have used. But yes, back to the matter at hand. If we can find a third, 3 of these working in concert should be enough to mend multiple tears in our own reality. The things we say out loud sometimes.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna get me another bowl of soup as well. Yes. Yeah. Anyone interested in something? Anyone got any questions? Any role playing?
I am curious. Uh, so, uh, I don't believe Davis would remember this or if he even knew this.
Sure.
Because in Carver at the
Mhm.
Laron mansion, I think.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember. Did Al share that with all of us? Because it was from the Detect Thoughts.
I feel like I would have.
Okay. I just don't think that Davis would have necessarily remembered. I
Picked
mean,
up
the main
on it.
thing is there's the whole thing about like the vessel and the fundamental force and all that other stuff. Specifically, Aristotar. My note says that
Mhm.
Aristotar basically was able to take over the become the vessel of the fundamental force of decay slash for
Mhm.
chaos, which seems kind of relevant to some of this stuff, and like to Roquette's whole fucking deal.
Yeah.
And Danny, if you will, I will allow you to, as a player, venture deeper.
Sure.
What was unique about Aristratar's form after y'all vanquished her?
Well, maybe the fact that it just did go like it just was the mist cloud that perpetuated. I don't know. Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
so that's a part of it, yeah. So, and then when y'all harvested from her, there were growths and organs or things akin to that that just shouldn't have belonged,
Oh, right. Yeah.
that were almost eldritch in nature.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
See, and then now you know that one of his allies was working with undead and eldritch entities.
Yep.
Yes, it's all woven
Yeah.
together.
Okay.
So as a player, you're onto something. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
were discussing the dragon's body. Some said it was very old. It was not actually very, it was big. Her form was more emaciated because of what for the alien parts, right? Yeah, there's alien parts within the body, right?
Yeah, an alien being both foreign, but alien also being like what aberrations are often
Right.
addressed to as alien.
The stuff that's fucking in the bottom of the Lucidian Ocean, out there.
Woo.
Ah, yes. So, so yes, but yes, good. As Danny, good putting pieces together. Good job.
Yeah.
Nice.
Davis picks his nose.
I mean, like you can if you can find a creative way to kind of
Yeah,
spill something.
I've been thinking about it,
You know,
but not
Mhm.
really.
but I do appreciate. But you've shared it now with the table. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
if someone wants to run with it and they feel comfortable, I will say, yeah, you're as a player group, you figure something out. You can use that. Like I'm never going to like say that. Oh yes, yes, the smart player figured it out, but all you guys can never use what he just figured out. No,
All right.
like you can share that at the table, and y'all can.
I'm playing someone with intelligence in the next campaign.
uh, oh
Nice.
great, we're gonna have what's his name back. Uh, oh Lord,
Oh,
I'm
Simon?
forgetting. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
maybe.
Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah. Bring it back. Bring it back.
His name wasn't really Simon. I actually don't remember
yeah.
his actual name.
I don't remember right now either, but I'm glad I didn't say it because I was like, it's not Tommen because you changed it from.
Oh,
To,
then I think it may have just been Domin actually. Now that I think
okay,
now that I think about
got
it.
it. Gotcha. All right. So yes, yeah. So Aristotar. So recap above the table, right? So not at a table. Aristotar had alien modifications to her. You know, yes, Rocket was still of a human descent, but he still used magic to sustain his life quite long. And as you know, he's been dead. You know, they had been gone for quite a while, and they had their fight a while ago. So see, Rocket did work with Elsevier, and they probably made contact with Aristotar at some point. And with what Danny said is yes, the concept of an Elohi, which a dragon falls under that category, is that they could be a vessel, air quotes, for like the embodiment of a elemental force. And one of these ones, which now you know another one, it's actually a weak nuclear force, technically, and it's considered decay or chaos. That would be Chaos Knight if you're a Dota fan.
Player. Yeah.
Mm.
Good job. Proud of my players.
So do we know what? Have we figured out what? So we said Telly is the weak force then?
We don't know.
Oh, we don't know.
Yeah.
Because
Al thought it
Davis
was
knows for sure it's gravity though.
clearly gravity.
Nice.
Yeah. But yep. So you are with a, I would say with a, with certain, I'll just say with certainty, the engine is electromagnetism.
Right.
More colloquially referred to as life. Telly you're not sure about, and you know it's an understanding that there is wind, fire, water, earth, and whatever is associated with those. And now that above board, you also understand that there was an example of a weak nuclear force, which is chaos or decay. So you guys have figured out, you know, 6 of them. Yeah.
So this is back in character. It's like, so this came from a tower. We're in a tower now. Like, should we just? I mean, is it likely that it's just in some other mage tower across the fucking continent or something? Like, have we seen any others? Like, I ask out loud because I don't actually know if we have.
Well, if I may interject, and then Magnus will interrupt. Well, you know, the thing about us mage towers is we don't like to necessarily be noticed because we
Right.
don't necessarily want just anybody to come in and knock down, you know, knock on our door and come take what's inside of us because you know we're quite awesome. You know, our awesomeness needs to be contained. We can't unleash the awesomeness upon everyone. So, I mean, let's look at it this way.
Anyway, Caden, you were saying?
I like this guy. I like this guy a lot. I'm gonna break his neck. Sorry, I said it loud.
Magnus, he's a friend. It's okay. It's okay.
Like, actually, what Magnus says is kind of true. I mean, we did travel through this very city and not even notice that Mage Tower was right before us. So yes, Mage Towers. How Wizard Tower, Mage Towers? How the best way I can describe them is they are bastions of a mage's life. They are representative of all the knowledge and the things that they have stolen and learned and collected and bartered for and traded for, and you wouldn't
Yep.
want them just to stand out.
So, with that in mind, I'm just dumb guy asking dumb guy questions. So this place, Magnus, has what were we calling it? The Nexus room with like places, ways of teleporting in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Correct.
we have seen one like that where the Houndmaster was, right? That's a
Yeah.
probably something like that too. But then Loki, like Court of Stars, like there's like I don't, it's hidden, and there's a fucking teleportation circle there, so maybe it was once part of someone.
I mean, what you're hinting at, this is Caden. What you're hinting at is no, it's quite astute of you, Davis. The the nexus that you have experienced is a means that if there are allied mages, or if one happens to have multiple research labs or multiple towers, they can then allow themselves to easily traverse through because they have the key and they can go one location to another,
Yeah, that was my
and
thinking.
it almost allows them to have in a conceptual way have one tower in 2 locations or 3 locations or 4 locations. No, does not necessarily mean that this tower, which we are in, was part of that nexus. It was part of a completely separate nexus, or it was cut off entirely. The one that we encountered in the choke, it was connected to the one in the
Yeah,
plains, the open plains,
Yep.
and in the sculpted dimension. So yes, those were part of the same network of towers. Perhaps we could go venture and we could seemingly try to activate the nexus and see if we can go into another one that we have our suspicions or evidence, hopefully, that one of these orbs could be located in. It's a very good observation. We just don't know how to track down one of these.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be a whole lot of help in research, so I'm just gonna be idea guy, throwing out stuff and asking the maybe silly questions, but maybe they're good questions. Who knows?
The important question.
Maybe.
No, I like your train of thought, Davis. Just the fact that we found both of these in Mage Towers, I think that's a really good place to start. We've seen quite a few in our days. There's the Necromancers. There's the one in the choke. Well, I'm not going back to the one with the Hendecolite. He probably has one, but screw that. We thought about, was it the Sodden Tower? Was that the underwater one? That sounds like too much work. That's an option, but
Did you say
I
sunken?
I
Sodded.
think so.
Oh, sodden.
Sodded. To be soaked through. Sodded. Yeah.
Was that the one from the dream?
The dream.
Yeah,
Oh shit.
Yeah.
it's an
I
option.
mean,
Yes,
it
that's
It's not a good option.
It checks a lot of
no.
boxes.
It does. I mean, honestly, to be fair, like I as a player thought about it, but Davis had kind of mentally blocked it out.
No, I understand, as he should.
But
Because
yeah.
it's scary.
I mean, he had literally blocked it out mentally before, so yeah.
You even mentioned the Court of Stars. I think that place where that fucking trap was, I think that was a tower underground.
Mm-hmm.
Had the
Oh
shape,
yeah, that
but
makes sense. Because we were kind of going up and up and up and
hey, where's the traps?
yeah.
A bound
Like-
elemental that is literally designed to assassinate other people. Yeah.
I mean, successfully did essentially.
Successfully did.
Oh, frustratingly kicks the nearest 40-pound tome and it doesn't move and his foot hurts a little bit.
Now, on top of being depressed, you have a stubbed toe. Good job.
Yeah, another level of exhaustion. I'm just kidding.
Al kills himself.
I'm moving
Tower.
away, I need
Yeah,
more
just
soup.
keeps kicking a book till he dies.
-1, -1.
Yeah.
Crit.
No, but like
100.
you're absolutely right. So far you guys are good job. You guys are kind of piecing things together. Yep. Good job.
There's a lot of those ones that we haven't visited yet, though. The one we're in right now seems to be the only one that's easily accessible and
Yeah, let's
we haven't
look
found
for
a
it.
orb
Maybe there's
with.
one here.
Very optimistically, if it takes us a little while to find one here, it's way faster than trying to figure out one of those other ones.
I'm happy to just scour the place, but it feels like there might be an easier way to find stuff like that.
So Magnus speaks up. Guys, seriously, if I could help, I would, but you have to understand, there were things set in place when I want to use the word, but I can't use it because I can't say the word because then it kind of reveals the truth of my station. That I cannot help in certain things. And I don't know everything. Can you imagine not knowing everything about yourself? Like,
Yeah?
oh, you can? It's not just me? Okay.
I'll get the 1,000-yard stare.
I feel a
That's
lot better
like
about myself.
the human existence, man. Anyway,
But,
yeah, go ahead.
okay, so I don't know everything that's inside of myself. And I don't know everything that's inside of the tower that represents myself. So I can't necessarily help you or point you in the right direction, but I can open myself up to you.
Yeah.
So I would help if I could, but I can't. So don't hate me for it.
And that's just because of how you were constructed, or how the tower was constructed with you helming it, right?
I was bound to the tower, yes. In short, no me, no tower.
Right. Well, I'll have to think about that.
No, I understand. It's fine. But yeah. So Caden will say, I wouldn't. If we wouldn't find one here, we would at least. I have a. I'm certain we would find information on one, if not more, and perhaps clues to where we might be able to go and find the third orb. To reunite three would be a great achievement.
Is there any risk with doing that?
Um, Not that I would be aware of. They,
I mean, other than the fact that having all three in the same place at one time is...
perhaps that would be the most obvious risk. That it would make it easier to ascertain three very powerful
Right.
relics at the same time. But as far as do they impose a risk in
Yeah, do they,
themselves?
like, not work well together or something? I mean, it'd be weird if you're, like, mixing a fire one and a water one, I would think, right?
Well, think of it this way: fire and water make steam. Fire and water make various
Ah,
other.
yeah. Okay.
So there is place for such combinations.
Fire and air might be kind of risky. Blowing a
I don't want
fire
to find
gets
that one
big.
out. Ugh.
Alright. Well, I'm just gonna go look. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'm gonna just keep looking. I'm just gonna check in and out. Sorry if it tickles Magnus, but I'm going.
He's like, don't mind it. Kind of appreciate your curiosity. So yeah, I mean, he does his best to, explain it to you, and you guys have some kind of lead. And it's a very good point you make. Like, yeah, there might be a risk to it, but look at them more as, not in a heartless way, but they are tools more than anything. Davis, as you go look, how would you like to look? Are you like just investigating or just perusing?
Yeah, I guess I would be just investigating. I know I'm not good at it, but that's the only real way I can think about it.
I do not hate that. So, you can go ahead and give me an investigation check. Obviously, it might get modified and altered based on what other people are doing, but for right now, we can get a base Davis investigation check.
Three.
You're just waiting for things like you move a book and you're waiting for the book to talk to you. You go
Any
to a
small little metal thing, I'm like, is it no?
yeah. You lose yourself in the weeds basically. Alright. And this place, as mentioned, a lot bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. So there's a lot for you to peruse. And Davis, you come across some amazing things. Some things that definitely catch your attention the most would be incredibly detailed maps that represent waterways. But when you look at them, they're not just waterways. They seemingly um, show like the currents and how strong they flow, and then make some sort of association with something up in the sky as well. You don't understand what they're associating with, but they're cool and they're interesting, and they actually for you this is like, oh, that's cool. This is interesting. Like it's a type of book that you are happy to look at. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah,
realize that it's a book.
the
So
the, the rare thing.
yeah, and then, like other things too that get your attention. But there's a lot here. There are so many um like trinkets and curos and relics of old, and even like you will find a whole lot of something, but a whole lot of nothing that's relevant to what you are looking for with a 3 investigation check, if that makes sense. Um, you'll find even objects that were probably personable, or some persons that either Zygmunt got or Rocket got um, from an acquaintance, or possibly he stole or he bought off, but they look like they might at some point may have been like someone's personal belongings that he saw value or had a hunch about something. So you just wander and get lost and find a whole lot of cool things.
Yeah, it's like I find too much cool stuff to actually find anything useful. Got
Yes. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Anyone else got any thoughts or interactions they wish to have right now?
I think after a while of seeing Davis wander back and forth with like piles of books, Carlos would be like, what do you got there? What are you looking up?"
To me,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. I don't know, but it feels cool. I'm just checking everything.
Knowledge is
There's there,
power.
yeah, Cars. There's one of the books that you see that's like Davis brought back after he's done he's gone venturing throughout the tower, and you can understand the reason why it got his attention. It just has a really intricately designed just cover on it, with the cover that stretches to the spine and the bindings and the back as well. It's just really cool to look at. It's like, all right, this is pretty neat.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Mm.
Well, don't let me get in your way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm back to work.
But yeah, anyone else? Otherwise we can just kind of say that the group spreads out, does some exploring, and y'all can kind of do like your best attempts to work together to just try to track down notes or anything. Be like a group check.
I'm open for that. Beyond the spheres, maybe also keep an eye out for books or things that reference the towers.
Right.
Any towers.
Ledgers of, yeah, I understand, of notable towers. Okay, so the I will be blunt with you, but it doesn't necessarily a bad thing. The more you add to what you're looking for, the harder it may be to find everything, right? It may increase the DC some degree, but it not, I can't tell you how much. But if towers are definitely something that's on the mind, we'll use towers. Towers can stick, you know. Um, Information on the Orbeez. Anything else that you want to add to the group check?
Hmm. I think that's a good balance.
I personally don't hate it. I think that's great. So, all right. So Davis had been exploring. I will say, Davis, think of a way that you could justify finding things that are not relevant to like kind of thin out the search. You know what I mean? You've kind of culled it a little bit. So you can kind of come up with a check that would kind of represent that. I'll allow that to go. And I just need some sort of representative check from Karos and Al, and if possible, Rock if he's here. If not, we'll kind of allow you guys to Jaeger one for Rock as well.
Okay.
And take your time. Like, don't feel like you got to be rushed or anything into this. But this is where I'll let you guys kind of sit, talk amongst yourselves, kind of role play it out. Until then, I am not interjecting.
Yeah, well, so just like, so I don't know how mechanically I'll express this, but to take that lead of find some way to like, instead of finding the useful stuff, like just be able to find so much unuseful stuff that like removes it from everybody else's search is what it sounds like. It's like maybe I'm just, it's like, wow, this is cool and this is cool. I'm just getting overwhelmed, and when I'm like, oh wow, actually, I want to ask Al about this later. I want to ask Rock about this later, and like I'm just like making little piles of stuff like in here. It's like,
Organization. Yeah, yeah.
this is
Your own
definitely not
way.
the engine, but it's kind of cool. This is also definitely not the engine, but it's kind of cool. And then I'm like, no, don't look at that pile. That's not that. It's definitely not there. But we can talk about it later.
Okay.
Sort
So
of my personality types.
so hear me out in a weird way. I kind of see this like as almost like a survival check because
Sure.
like when you're out there in survival, you know, sometimes you need to organize. This is my burnable materials. This is my food materials. This is my protection materials. So go ahead and give me, in a sense, a survival check.
Yeah, and since I didn't actually burn my inspiration last time, I'm gonna use it on this one.
I like it. Yeah.
Because I forget it's because of the invisibility. Like he was the advantage disadvantage canceled out, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
give myself advantage on this one.
Perfect. Go for it.
Hey, nice. 16.
16. All right. Let me note that down. So that is 16 into the pool.
Yeah, that's me trying to get like obsessing over the chaff.
Yeah. No, that's still something. Okay, so I'm just gonna say Davis is 16 into the pool. Okay, put it here. Roll 20. Got it. All right. So I just need the Al, Karos, and then as well as Rock. If you guys can Jaeger something for him, if he's not back yet.
Can do. Still thinking a little bit on my end.
Yeah, please take your time and like discuss with yourselves. Like, you know, like sometimes it's the cerebral part of the game.
I mean, Rock has got all sorts of really good checks to use for it.
I think
Sorry,
Carlos will
I'm
use.
busy with tank issues. What do you need me for?
So the group kind of decided that they're gonna tackle this group check, and the higher y'all total is, the better y'all successfully navigate through the interior of Magnus's tower to find information that you're looking for. And the two things that the group decided that they're going to focus on is information about the orbs and information on other mage towers. So, like, Davis, in a way, he ended up just gathering all these things that were not relevant, but he at least organized them and sorted them out. So that's going to kind of cull your search. So he went and did a survival check to kind of properly organize, lay these things out, and now they are not in the way. So he added 16 to the total check. And you guys are just going to try to figure out some sort of ability check that's unique to you, that makes sense, that allows you to assist the group in progressing forward in this group check. So just think of something.
Well, I mean, for me, I've already got 2 orbs, which are very fascinating. Which I haven't spent much time studying, so I'd probably do an Arcana check on them, fool around with them, play with them, see if they can teach me anything.
Sure. So you're actually gonna directly for like the first time, possibly and ever, like or interact with both of them, which is cool. Do you kind of imagine? Do you have a picture in your mind of how you would interact with them? Would you be like playful? Would it be like grabbing it, like studying it, analyzing it? Like how would you
I
approach
mean,
it? Rock.
I'm Rock. I'm juggling them and bouncing them
Love it.
together and seeing if they like magnets where they're like they don't want to touch. I'm letting them like spin around my body. I'll talk to them.
Okay. So, in a weird way, I know you said Arcana, but in a weird way, I kind of want to do, because it's your weakest approach,
Hmm.
can you give me because you're almost like performing with them, you're doing like little games with them. Can you give me a performance check?
Okay, I also have one question.
Mm-hmm.
We did a long rest summer recently, like we've had a sleep,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I haven't done portents in a while
Oh, yes, please, Portent. Yeah, please.
because maybe I'll want to use one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good thought.
Yes, and you remember you
Um,
get technically 3. You roll 2, and then you roll the bonus one, and add, or maybe you roll 3
no,
and
I get
4.
3 and I roll 4.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So I'll do 3 of these, and
And
we
then
will roll them.
Danny, if you don't mind, in Foundry, can you write down what his portents are on his feature, just so he doesn't have to worry
I mean,
about
he
that?
can.
I can do that. I'm in right now.
Nice. Okay, I thought it was. Yeah, when you said it was like 90% loaded, I was like, maybe that's not something you could do.
So I got 12, 3, and 19, and then rolled a 17. So I'm going to keep 19, 17, and 3.
Okay. I'm assuming you want to use that 19 then for your.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay, so what is that total? Is that a -2? So that's a 15? Sorry, a 17? Sorry,
17, yeah.
17. That is good for you. So it's interesting, guys. For the group, as you see Rock kind of like, as you guys have been huddling around him, and some of you have been messing with the orbs, and he's been focusing on writing his book. He's still been listening and absorbing what you guys are saying. And then at one point, he just kind of props up his back a little bit more proper in the chair, and just kind of folds the tome that he's been looking at. And then he just kind of grabs, as they're kind of circling around him, he grabs the broken engine and pulls it down. And he grabs Telly and pulls it down. And then he just like a kid with like 2 metal balls, kind of clinks them together, clink, clink. And there's like a little spark between them. And then he starts like juggling them. And you just see him just go through what you can only understand because you've traveled with Rock for so long, his way to understand things. Like he licks them, he like drops it on the table and watches it like as it almost hits the ground, it kind of it starts to float and kind of floats back up, and he takes note of it. He pushes one away from the other one and sees them kind of come back together. He's just messing around with them. And he's starting to understand their interaction. Something I will say that you learn, Rock, from this, if it wasn't clear, but just to make sure that it is mechanically clear to you, if you have 1, you have 2, you have 3, you have 4, it doesn't matter. They all are considered one object when they are together. They basically combine, but they're still represented in their like different pieces. They are all unique, extremely unique. And they all have their own special properties, which is something that you will hopefully uncover. That all being said, these two interact together. Like there's no like ever a sense of danger. Like when you grab them two and kind of hit them together, like you would like to flint and a stone. There's no spark or anything. They just kind of bunk into each other, and they make this like that's the simple little like stone metal clunk sound. So they're not gonna like implode on you or explode if you hit them or something. But yeah, 17 to the check. I'm gonna add that to the pool. I wrote that in roll 20.
Yep.
Rock. 17 to the pool. All right. So Davis is done. Rock is done. Karos and Allegretto.
I think Karos would come at it from the aspect of, obviously just looking for titles that make sense, but while he's looking at these books in the different sections, try to think about, get into the mind of the person who organized them, like get the gist of it's pretty rare that even eclectic collectors would just stuff things any which way. You know, that is the method of a hoarder, just trying to take up space. Somebody who's collecting and hoarding and getting knowledge that they're actually going to use, there might be a few things put here or there that maybe don't
Yeah.
make sense, but generally there's got to be some sort of like grouping, sectioning, maybe how old the books are, maybe where they came from, maybe the authors, maybe subject matters. So he's going to kind of try to pick up on that as he's searching around to try to help guide him to not searching the entire tower, right? Like
Mhm.
getting the idea. This section has all been food related. This is probably not the area to be in, and move on, kind of like that. So at the hopefully a small risk, but at the risk of missing something, he's going to be analyzing the layout to try to find the best places to search, because then he could also direct other people to help once he finds a section that has a good potential.
Yeah, I get that. This is where streetwise you're basically described like streetwise in a sense. But inside. So, what would be an appropriate check for that? I'm trying to think because we already got a survival in the pool. We got a performance in the pool. Investigation works. You could almost, in a sense, I would say insight would probably give you insight on how he organized it, and maybe you'll be able to kind of peel through the layers and try to understand like the processes and where things are placed, and that might help you kind of track down some things.
Okay.
The more unorthodox of a check that you can think of, the more let's say the lower the DC will become, if you can explain it to me.
Yeah, I think he'd go in the insight category. Because like investigation works better in Karas's mindset if he's got a clue already. But since he's kind of trying to get in the mind of the person, like, okay, why would this be here? Or if this is here, what would,
Yeah.
get an idea of what makes sense, try to piece together. It's kind of like the archaeology mindset. Why is there this big thing of clay pots in this section of the thing? So
Yeah, perfect mindset. I love it. So yeah, go ahead and give me that insight check as you try to kind of piece together and intuit his organization method, why certain things were held on to, why certain things might even be missing. Like you may have this assumption like, oh, I should clearly find something like this here, but you don't.
I'm gonna do a tactical assessment too.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Use those features.
You know your enemy against Magnus.
I will tell you his constitution is unreadable because he is a
Vulcan Tower.
he is a good tower.
You can, if anybody can suplex the tower, it's Karos.
True.
Well, now that
Speaking
he's
of,
thinks big. Right.
42.
damn. Yeah. Holy shit.
Is that legitimately a 42?
Yep.
I rolled a 20 and an 11.
And he has a plus 11.
Holy shit.
I'm sorry, that's gonna break me for a minute. Oh, it's
Yeah.
fair.
That's more than
I
me and
am
Rox
literally-
combined, and they were
I've,
actually
like-
pretty okay.
I've
Yeah.
slipped in. I've actually created like a temporary secondary personality. I'm like walking around as.
No, like I know I've joked about this with your concept, and I know it hasn't like come to light, but like I've joked that you're kind of like
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
Sherlock Holmesy, and you just super just go straight up Sherlock Holmes here. You retrace footsteps, you pick
Wearing
up
one of the
strange
old
mannerisms.
robes.
Exactly. You find a robe and just put it on. You find a corn pipe and you stick it in your mouth. You get a monocle and you don't put it on. You just kind of you're like, oh, this is useful. I don't need it, you know. Yeah. Holy crap. Okay. 22. All right. That's a natural 22, right? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
I need to mark that as a. All right.
Yeah,
Arrows
that's crazy.
42 at 20 into the pool.
Can I say that Kara's got me? I'm gonna just kick up my feet. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Just you all kind of just yeah, you know what? You all kind of just like start to like adopt an alternate persona, kind of mimicking Karos
Yo.
act. Yeah, Karos. With that, like it's to the rest of you, it's extremely disconcerting because Karos, who's typically like Karos, just starts wandering, and you just hear him like you see him just running his fingers along books and then just grabbing seemingly a random book out of nowhere. You see him then put this book down, open into a random page, tears out a page, crumples it up into a ball, and throws it. Sees where it lands, looks at where it lands, and looks at like what might what ray of light might be touching the page, and then draws a line with his hand down to a bookshelf, and then goes to that one specifically, and then grabs this book, opens it, turns it upside down, reads the cover upside down, starts walking around and finds a matching cover of the same book upside down, and says, "Uh-huh," grabs that one and starts moving around. He does this for 20 minutes. Like you guys are at one point, you guys are like almost like mocking him in the way that he's doing what he's doing, but then it brings results.
Yo.
And the results are you really don't need anyone else to roll because you guys just kind of crushed it with that. Yeah, Karos, you with your haphazardly but incredibly in tune way of addressing and looking into it, you find what you're looking for. You find not one, not two, you find about a dozen or so scattered journals or sections of notes or whatever you could kind of imagine um, that a wizard that was obsessed about something kept. And you even find entries when you read into it of like sections where he planned on how he could take an engine and hide it from Zygmunt, or take an orb and hide it from his master, or what he would do once he got it, what he had plans and machinations. And you find later, as you kind of go through this organized chaos and mess, you find that he did indeed strategically hand out a few. He did manage to collect a few of these objects, these orbs. And in that reading, you realize that the way that he attained them was that Zygmunt created them and Zygmunt used them. But he didn't. He realized that what kind of a bit of lore on these. Zygmunt realized that these objects kind of skirted um, the boundary of, like I was trying to say, like they're not alive, but they're not dead. They're not conscious, but they're not unaware, kind of thing. And he realized that in the incredibly complex process of forging these arcane, and these are like now you're starting to understand these are arcane marvels. They're not just relics. They're not just special. These things are like marvels of arcane craft. Um, for reading Rocket's admiration and praise for these things, like it becomes very clear that one of these creating one of these things would have been a mage's achievement of a lifetime. And this guy created 8 of these things. Um, and that also explained like his Rocket's wanting and desire for these things, because he was like, my master created these things. They have so much potential, and he's not using them. And there's this running theme now, if you remember, like inside of Rock's inner world, same thing. Rocket was obsessed with like, wasted potential. You're not using what you have at your disposal. Um, and that seems to be a common through point through and through with Rocket's character. And these are kind of that example. And as you're kind of putting all this together, you do get confirmation that, yeah, indeed, you find a section in this like very appropriately flavored grimoire of dark leathers, probably leather that you don't want to think of where it comes from. Um, there is a track record or a log and a ledger of his interactions with Elsevier and her research and her studies, and how she was a very valuable research assistant when it came to acquiring fresh specimens, fresh study research experiments. And when you read further, it if Rock was to pay attention, he would kind of get a brief little flashback of him over an experimentation table cutting into a live dragonborn, or taking a scalpel and filleting a dwarf or stuff. All those little tests. It turns out that Elsevier was a big part of his ability to procure these fresh individuals, and a lot of the gruesome research was possibly done down in her lab, and it's all logged and ledgered in this dark grimoire. And you realize that, yeah, he did indeed have one that was to be sent to another individual that would be located in the let me pull up the map real quick. Let's go to Roll20. These maps. That would have been located in the Isles to the south and southeast of the Crown Lands.
We don't.
But
We haven't seen. We don't see the map. If you.
oh, it didn't change, you guys. Okay. Oh, I guess I grabbed the tab, but I didn't actually drop it correctly because it's now it should. There we go.
Yep.
Sorry about that. So yeah, let me ping you guys again. Ugh. Selection tool being weird. There you go. So there you go. So Isles here, and supposedly it never made its destination. And
Down here somewhere, because we didn't see the ping either.
yeah, like right around here somewhere. Seemingly to Isles. Is it shifting you guys? It should move you guys there, but yeah, there you go. Isles, and it never made it to its destination down there. So yes, you have intimate understanding that he had a few more in his possession. One was Elsevier, had the broken engine, the choke he was using himself to experiment with the dimensional travels. As after he picked up the mantle of the Hendecolite, as he stole that mantle from Zygmunt, because Zygmunt wasn't, pursuing it to his to Rocket's standards. And then you found one that was seemingly destined to make it to the a kingdom off the Lucidian, the Cerulean kingdoms, off the southeast coast of the Lucidian Ocean, southwest, saying southwest, southeast, but never made it. And there's a little interesting note that he was particularly fond of having them travel by conventional means, because he was a little paranoid that if he was like to teleport them or to move them in other means, that anyone that might be aware of their existence might be trying to track it that way. So he particularly liked to hire merchants or cartels or something to use and to transport these orbs, stuff like that. So with the natural 20 on your insight, I will allow you to roll me just a knowledge check if you wish. So an intelligence check with your proficiency at advantage.
I'll just use the investigation. You said with proficiency, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
just with
just.
proficiency. It's essentially like a knowledge check. Natural 20 again. Okay, cool. Um,
Dang.
he's on a roll. Um,
Thanks.
so when your friends were talking about mage towers, and hey, the Court of Stars might be a mage tower, and there was probably a mage tower um in Whitlaw. You straight up find a section that confirms that that was a secret mage tower that Rocket had built inside the old city um of Whitlaw, so that he could just slip in and out.
The Court of Stars area that we
Court of
teleport
Stars
into?
area. Yeah.
Okay.
It was part of a separate network because he didn't want it to be part of his um, network, but it was definitely another mage tower. And he, as being someone of prominent stature, because he was known as a powerful mage, so therefore he did. Uh, People would request his assistance. It was just a simple, easy way for him to just show up and appear and be on site. But as every mage and wizard is, they want to protect their knowledge, protect their things. So that's why it was so dangerous to try to get there. And yeah, it is. The Court of Stars is indeed, you can confirm it. It was a mage tower, much like Magnus, that was bound to his service.
Interesting.
Maybe. Right on, I guess. We can anything when we get it.
And with the other natural 20 aspect of the other 20, your friends did hint. So I will say that like you guys will be able to ascertain some more of the orbs. And let me pull them up so I can kind of help you. So, the
Just
one,
copy paste your notes, and we'll just take them. 2 natural 20s. We just get DM notes.
yeah, you get the notes. You get 5 minutes of inside the DM's brain. Okay. So, all right. So he in his time in his possession, he managed to acquire the broken engine, which you guys did confirm is electromagnetism. Telly was never part of his collection because you never see it listed there. Telly was part of. I may have misspoken earlier. Telly was part of Zygmunt's studies, and the choke was actually one of Zygmunt's mistakes as part of his network, and therefore it is never part of Rocket figuring that out. So Telly was actually never in Rocket's possession. Um, the other one, he did indeed possess the one that represents weak nuclear forces, so chaos. And he did indeed, in some of his research and studies, successfully bind the fundamental force into a Alohi. A dragon was used, and an Alohi was forged. And that was, as far as you guys were able to figure out above board, that was Aristotar. And that one was the decay, because the simple element is life, and the opposite to that is decay. So that would be the weak nuclear force. So we had that one. He also had one that uh, that represented basically, as far as you can understand it, it represented fire. It was one that seemingly was able to use anything and everything as a fuel source, and could break the rules, essentially, as far as how things would interact together. So he had the fire one. And then the last one that he had in his possession would be...
And we don't know if that's the one that he sent off to the islands.
I guess with 2 natural 20s. Sure, we'll say yes. That's the one that, yeah, you're able to find out. So the one that he sent off to the island that he lost was the fire one. It is basically, yeah, it's able to use and convert things into applicable fuel sources from what you can understand. And the fourth one that he had in his possession would be, there's very little notes on it. It's just, it seems all you get from it, it's the one that hears what's below, and it references tremors and shaking and rumbling to the earth. So he had fire, earth,
Chaos.
chaos, decay, and life. Those were the 4 that he managed to accrue. And fire looks to be the one that got lost on its way to the Cerulean Kingdoms. And chaos and decay, so the weak nuclear force, looks to be the one that he used on an experiment, or if you want to study more, somehow he used it on a dragon and ascended the dragon into an Elohi state where it was actually an embodiment of the fundamental force of decay.
Does it say, like, so did that consume the sphere, or is it, like, still somehow present in, like, the now mist cloud?
That would be research.
Okay.
I can't, yeah, I gave you 2
That's
natural
fine.
20s.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just curious.
Yeah. Actually, let me make sure. I'm gonna move that notes onto a new page in this part of the chapter, so I don't have to go searching for it on the spot, making a new notes section. Yeah, any other insights or questions that that you might have from what I just told you, Karos?
I mean, not right now. There's a lot of information, so.
Yeah. Well, you roll 2 natural 20s back to back. Have fun with that.
I mean, it's good to get the information. It's just in processing it, it's like, oh.
Yep.
What else could I need to know? What possibly could I need to know?
No, I completely understand, my man. Oh, I would say sorry, because you were also looking for towers, and Al did specifically say that, and therefore you get that. While he did like to have the orbs travel by mundane means, as to not arise suspicion, because he was paranoid, as all good mages were. So that he did like to take paths where he would have a tower or a workstation or at least something of his along the way should an emergency arise. They could divert course or something like that. Or an ally's tower. So like the broken engine was found at Elsewhere's. It's an ally's tower.
So the only way that sort of helps us knows is that we know he sent something far southeast, so there's probably, like, between here and there's probably at least one something.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Either a mage tower or a workstation or something. I mean, yeah. And you know that it was most likely traveled over water, so either on coastline or in the water or something like along the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we know either from this or from something else that I'm forgetting how many total towers we think he's had or associated with? Because we know this one was his, and he had the one in Whitlaw, and then, you know, Allies Tower. But, like, is there a... Or, you don't have to answer this if we don't know it. I just definitely could have forgotten it if we know that he he has definitely at least this many. Because I know that there's multiple ones based off of, or, you know, like the underwater one and some of the other stuff, but I don't remember if we know that there is
That's fair. I know what you're
explicitly
asking.
X
Yeah, yeah.
number. Yeah.
Okay, so it gets a little confusing because at one point y'all didn't realize that there was a separation in the two individuals when it came to the Hendecolite, and Rocket tried to take the mantle of the Hendecolite. So to kind of help you guys a little bit, but not maybe give you the entire answer, there are multiple sets of towers now. And you know, when I say a set, I don't mean multiple groupings of towers. Forgive me. So, ones that are absolutely grouped together. I'll put it that way, right? That you guys know are grouped together. Now, who's the owner or who's this or that is, you know, up to interpretation. But so Magnus Tower or the Green Hill Tower and the Whitlaw Tower, the Court of Stars, are rockets for sure. You guys have uncovered that. They were his. He bound powerful entities to be their custodians, or however you want to look at it. So you got Magnus here, and maybe the booby trap over there was one other entity that he bound into the tower. I don't know. You know, you guys didn't research it. You destroyed the thing. So, hey, there's that. After it tried to kill Al. So the Court of Stars and Green Hill are under Rocket. The Choke and the curated dimension, the curated custodian, the curated dimension, the one with all the soldiers. Those are for sure under the Hendecolite or Zygmunt's domain, and those two share the Nexus points. That's where the Nexus key allowed you to go there and there.
Mm-hmm.
So those 4 towers that you guys are aware of are linked in 2 groups together. Elsewhere's was a little different. If you guys remember, oh, okay. Does anyone, this is to my players, you can say this if you remember it, you can look up your notes, I don't care, what it was before it was a...
Yeah, it was a temple to the
Yep,
whatever Ben's brother.
yep, the
That
Shepherd of Fate.
Shepherd of Fate.
Yep,
That's the one.
exactly. So it was an independent tower that you would call like an allied tower. So that was Elsewhere's tower. It was originally a holy temple that she bastardized and turned into a fucking necropolis, basically. You know, like it's a dark place. So that would be now a third thing, but it's only a single tower that you're aware of. Does that kind of help a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
And the Sodden Tower, we've only kind of seen in the dream space, although Davis has actually been near there, in there. I don't actually remember.
Oh no. So okay, Davis.
I think I have one note on that. Oh.
But let's do something here, because now there might be a couple people that may actually have things tied to this. I say couple because it depends on who rolls what. Davis, do you remember where we said the spooky scary place happened in your history that you've forgotten?
It was with Lily.
Yes, and it was in the Lucidian.
Yeah, it was in Lucidian. Yeah, okay, sorry, yes, in the Lucidian. Yep.
Yeah. So southwest, Lucidian, spooky tower, spooky scary things, possibly same place. Possibly. Because why would you have merchants get set up to go and pirates to go look at something, right?
Yeah.
You guys have all the information. So if you want to say Davis has a strong hunch that it might be related, that's fair. And then Allegretto,
Mm-hmm.
because of where you hail from, you may be familiar with stories of a sea witch, or however land folk might interpret it, something super scary off the west coast of the Lycidian Isles,
Okay.
the Cerulean Kingdoms.
From
And
from my
go ahead.
notes real quick, because I was looking back at the Sodden Tower reveal, which, as a reminder, was also revealed to me as a player at that
Yes, I
moment.
know.
Which is
And
fine. That was cool. I liked it.
yeah.
But I do have that we saw the symbol of the Sodden Tower in the Nexus hub of the sculpted dimension.
Ding ding ding.
There we go. That's fine. So did you? I
Yeah,
would
I'll
say
say Davis could be like, yeah. If you guys remember when when Delaney had us doing the dream stuff, well, lost us, frankly. I thought I don't think she had any control at this point. But if you remember back in Whitlaw when we were trying to go into the dream dimension to figure stuff out, and then we ended up in the scary underwater place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all
Right.
those nasties were in, and then yeah, that feels like that's probably another tower, and we did see that in the sculpted place, in that, like, it's Nexus, right? Is what we're calling it? Yeah. So,
it's a warpstone or keystone nexus is
right.
technically what it is. But yeah. So I will give you this then. In your notes, let's real quick. I will, if you actually, let's have it this way, because you have all these resources in front of you, and I know, Davis, you're not necessarily the best, so you don't have to participate in this. But anyone that wants to participate into it, give me a quick investigation check.
I'm doing
based
it
on-
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you're kind of going through what Karos has stacked up in front of you guys and everything.
It's all too much. Fuck. I should have just helped someone. Fuck.
No, in this case, I would say everything's
Okay.
both separate. Yeah. No, I get you. Just because of the nature of it's like a spontaneous check.
Makes
You'll
sense.
like, just kind of.
Should
we
just
got.
be everyone but me, like everyone else, bouncing off of my data.
It might be. Yeah, but you, Karos, go ahead and give me one as well, just to kind of keep going further into this. So I have a 7, a 12, and someone can rock for rock for roll.
Can rock and roll.
Yeah, get
Okay,
28.
what am I rolling?
Investigation.
Investigation, please.
Okay.
Shenko.
Woo, 28.
Karos is on a mental roll right now.
32.
All right, cool. So, something that Karos and Rock start to fit together and sort of like bounce off one each other is when Davis kind of sparks up. But wait, didn't we see that symbol in the dream, and then we saw it loosely in the Nexus, and you guys are kind of thinking about it? There's not, and you guys kind of search through and see again, documentation, means of tracing and tracking that. Yes, the Sodden Tower is indeed part of the Zygmunt's network, but Rocket knows the symbol, and if you know the symbol, you can get into it, right? You can find a way to get in. So it's likely it was Rocket broke into the Sodden and claimed it for his own when it wasn't being used. So it's part of Zygmunt's network, but Rocket was using it. Which means, with a 32, because the DC was 25, so both of you, Rocket probably has a back door to the Sodden Tower.
New goal. Find that.
think, is there any other questions or any other types of investigations y'all want to do? If not, we'll probably roll this into a little break to give your brains a time to relax.
I'll say the discussion of the Sun Tower, and I know as a player, I'm pretty sure that Ben like would have had a pretty nasty reaction to the nasties around it, but I don't remember if he expressed it in game.
Oh no, he definitely did. He said like, I'm gonna purge you from existence or something when y'all were fighting.
Okay. So with
Right.
that in mind, I will check on Ben, see how he's doing after this. But we can do that. We can do that with the break.
Okay, sounds good. Anyone got anything else right now? Cool beans. All right, let's take a little break. It's 11 past. Let's be back at 25, 26 past.